Hi guys, I'm gonna show you something. So I got some drives right here. They're new drives. They're going into my NAS. I'm not gonna show you the serial number, but because of but basically I'm gonna write serial numbers on top of the drives, and once I actually have them all set up. So let me just pause real quick and take them out of the package, and I'm gonna basically and then um I'm gonna pause it after I've show you something else. So this is what the tray is for the Qnap NAS. The hard drive goes into here. 4 screws go onto the bottom, or all 3 here, and or here and here, or here and here. So here and here and here on each side. If you're using 2.5-inch drive here, it's kind of backwards. Here and it's here, here, and here. Yeah, I had to not look into the camera. I was trying to do that while looking at the camera. So there's that. And it has 4 screws that it comes with. If you have a bigger NAS, it would hold more drives. So in total, I'm increasing my capacity up to 22 actually. I mean up to 42 actually terabytes. I mean 42 actually terabytes with the special hard drive upgrade. Yeah. So let me just pause real quick. This is what one drive looks like inside of the case. So I'm just gonna do the other one real quick. I'm just gonna also show you how to set up a Qnap NAS if I have to. So it's just another one I have, just my backup one. So I'm gonna do that on this computer. So yeah. So let me pause real quick and I'll finish the last one. Hi guys. So going back to the thing. So the Qnap NAS has been hooked up. It's basically been set up and not set up. I'm gonna show you how to set up on a different Qnap NAS I have. So letting this down. So now going to here. We're gonna basically do a couple things. So you're gonna need a couple things. For example, you'll need the firmware of your Qnap NAS most of the times, not most of the times. So you want to make sure it's on the latest firmware. You double click this, which is the Qnap Qfinder Pro software for Windows. Press OK. You probably only need this once or a couple times if you actually use it for other stuff too. So press next. I accept and agree to license. Press next. You can add those if you want to. The desktops are kind of quick launch. I'm just gonna add them because I'm gonna uninstall it afterwards. So install. It will extract the software. You can share if you want, but I don't. So press finish and launch. And it will ask you to select a region, global/China. I'm selecting global since there's that. Accept and allow. So press yes, then I've been initialized. Press yes. You want to initialize it, will open up a browser. So you can installation smart guide. Okay, so I'm gonna name my Qnap NAS and put it in the password. So I'm gonna pause real quick. So this should be, you should name your NAS something you actually can remember. And then this something you can remember, and that's something you can remember, but you'll make another user account if you want. So I'm just gonna think of an actual name. Then you press next, okay? So it'll ask you to select your time zone. You can synchronize it with the internet time automatically. I use the internet server, so then you press next. They ask you for an IP address. So the IP address, it's already on here. This is from when the device was set up before. I just factory reset it. But so you basically have obtained an automatic IP address, which is DHCP, which is basically where this will change every time the IP address were to change. And so you press use static. I use static, and you can change the only number you change is that number if you want it available on this LAN. So you actually can change it to 192.168.2.5 if you wanted to, but most of your computers wouldn't have access to it if it's not in the same IP range. So you have to put on the same IP range as most of your actual network. And so if you're using VLANs, that's another thing you have to do. So then you press next. It says IP address does not change. This may lead to IP conflict. Are you sure you want to? So if this happens and your IP is the same, you have to change it. But I actually just know this IP is not used, so there's that. So if you're using Mac, because if you're using a Mac, then you press Mac. If you're using a Linux machine, you press Linux/Unix, which is NFS and SMB/CIFS file station, and this is for SMB CIFS for Windows. So the only difference is this one gets AFP, which is Apple File System Protocol. This one is Nix File System Protocol. So you press OK. I'm just gonna select all those because I actually have an Apple product. Well, I have a MacBook. I also have iPad. So those are just stuff I use. I have a Linux machine. I also have a couple Windows machines in the house. So then you press next, and then it will show you all of the stuff. Then you press apply. And it says, warning, initialized system clears all device data. Do you want to proceed? Yes. And then this will basically do its job. I'm just gonna pause right here. Oh, I don't have to actually. I might just pause. So there it is. It's set up now, and then you press go to management page. Then you log in. Let me log in really quickly. So I'm logged in. And this is what it well, mine looks like this because this is talking about external device, which is my CP1350A VRL CDA, which is a UPS that I'm using. That's going to be replaced soon, but basically, when you're plugging in, when you get a UPS that has a USB plug, you can plug it into the back of the Qnap NAS, and it will basically detect it. You can basically make it so you don't ask me again and press close. It says this is what will pop up when you first started up. Mine's popped up because it was something I actually didn't use before. So you click here, and then this is like the security stuff you actually get. These are the licenses you actually get for the Qnap license store, which is the camera channel or the camera station. And if you have like some IP cameras, you can hook them up to here, but they have to be compatible with your browser for one, in order for it to load the user interface. Then you have to log in to them with here, and then you can use camera station to like monitor and record your actual IP cameras onto the hard drive. And if you're using the IP camera, you might want to, if you're mainly using it for IP cameras, then you want to use like Skyhawks or Western Digital Purples. And then you can it's basically meant for writing then. I'm just gonna press don't show this again because I don't want to see it again. That has HDMI application, so this is basically just a update. This is just like the regular stuff that you get. So you go to File Station, you go to App Center, and you can go through actually this, but since you press next, it'll tell you everything about it, how to open. You press the install, it'll say cancel, then it will say open. But then you set up a RAID to store your apps. Next and finish, but not this way. So these are all the apps that come pre-installed on Qnap NASA's. So the virtual disk station, so the network and virtual station, which is where you basically, this is where you have basically your network stuff at. Notification, this is if your NAS basically has any kind of error, it will send you a email message or text if you set that up. But the email notification is totally, so if for any slight changes, so like if something up here was like disconnected, so if it says latest notification up here, every time this is basically changed, it will basically say, it'll tell you whatever appears here. And if you have any kind of errors whatsoever, then you pretty much are gonna be getting an email nonstop. I had that set up at one point. I disconnected it, so I'll show you how to install some apps too. But the app I'm gonna use, which is Plex, I'm gonna show you how to install that. But first, I'm gonna show you how to set up the actual storage snapshot. So you go to storage snapshots, which is this button right here. It'll look like this. It'll show you the actual disk, which is right here. Seagate. These are just test disk. And then, if I remember correctly, so to get here, you go down to storage and snapshots. Oh no, actually that was just up here. That was just the storage. So I haven't actually set this up in a while. I only set it up once. So you click on add storage, and it'll walk you through it, how to enable auto tiering, select storage. So you either want a thick/thin provision. Since this is just for setup, for show, you go here, and then for this you have options. You have single drive, so it's just drives by themselves. Then there is JBOD, which is just a bunch of disk. Then there is RAID 0, which is basically you combine the drives together and get the whole capacity. RAID 1, which is you combine the drives to get one of the drive capacities. RAID 5 is basically if you have 3 or more drives, it will basically give you parity for one drive, and the rest are used for data. So if you have 3-4 terabyte drives, it would be 8 terabytes plus actually parity. And then RAID 6 is 4 drives, 2 being used as is 4 more drives, 2 being being used as parity, so you in turn get 8 terabytes with actually 2 spares. So if one drive dies, if one drive dies, you actually can basically replace that drive and then add more and add a new drive, and it will rebuild from parity. It will take a little while. RAID 10 is basically if you have, for example, 8 drives, but this is only if you have a multi-NAS drive. It's RAID 1 plus RAID 0, and you have 4 disks available for per drive, and so in turn you have 2 drives being in RAID 1, so they're mirroring each other, and then those 2 drives are RAID 0 together. So there's that. So for this, I'm going to basically be showing you I'm just going to be doing a JBot, but I recommend if you're doing this, select the RAID 1. This is just for setting this up. So it will give me a total capacity, but the problem is once one drive fills up, the other drive will start filling up. So there's that. Then you press next. I'm just selecting JBOD for now. So then you press next. Then alert threshold. I put this to alert threshold. So I'm just gonna basically not configure alert threshold because I had that configured before and it just kept alerting me every time it kept getting high. So 1.9% is reserved, in turn giving me, instead of it being 7.26, it would be 7.12 terabytes used. So then you press create. Says all the data on selected disk will be erased. Are you sure you want to continue? So you press OK. And from actually there, it will take a couple minutes. Actually, it'll take a few minutes to do actually this. So let me pause this and while it does its thing. Okay, so now back. This list says create a new actually volume, beginning storing data. So depending on how big your drives are, because if you said this took only maybe about 4 or 5 minutes, I'm guessing, not that much, but basically if you have like a 16 terabyte or higher drive, it will take longer depending on what you are trying to use. So and if you're using so you should I recommend using any kind of NAS drive, like the Western Digital Reds, as long as they're basically non-SMR. But that is another idea. So most people don't care about SMR, but it doesn't matter. Then there's Seagate Iron Wolves, which are CMR. Then there's also Toshiba NAS drives and Hitachi, but those are owned by Western Digital too. So you press new volume, okay? Then it will ask you to it will ask you to so select storage location, so storage pool 1, and then you basically click on you can click on thick volume, static volume. So static volume supports is basically a single fixed allocation, and then and it's unsupported, and then it is multiple on demand, which is thin volume, and then multiple pre-allocated, which is basically thick volume. Both of them have snapshots available. So, and if you hover over this, I don't remember what that one does, but then you press next. Leave that as default. I'm just gonna name this volume alias Plex because of that's what I'm gonna show you how to set up. So it shows the Mac capacity is 7 terabytes. So 7.12, which is the max capacity allocated. This isn't really actually good if you want to actually do like some extra provisioning. This is just for setting this up with Plex. So then you press next, stick volume, press finish, and then it will basically do this. Plex is being created, and it says volume is ready. You can start storing data after by creating a shared folder in the file station. So there's that. So as you can see, it's initializing. It basically shows initializing. It's initializing the Plex storage, and then once that finishes initializing, which it basically would take a little bit of time. While that's initializing, I'll show you. So if your date and time is wrong, which it is, because right now it's 6:39 p.m. So you go to here. You go to that's your setting systems. As if your date and time is wrong. General settings, I think it is. Then you go to time. So as you can see, I just left it as is because I didn't because it would use the server, but now it's just using Eastern Standard Time, which is not the 24-hour. It'll be 12-hour. And so I messed that up. I think I did 24 hours. And then that's what my time is right now. Because if you see right over here, the clock will actually change. Just doing this while it's initializing because of so 12 hours. Apply. So as you can see, it says 6:41, 9/29, 2019. As you can see, it says 6:41 over here. It takes a little bit of time to synchronize because of it's doing some provisioning in the background. I mean, it's doing some initializing, so it'll take a while. So there's that. If you have daylight saving times, then you can adjust clock automatically, stuff like that. So as you can see, I've just killed around a little bit of time for that initializing, okay? So let me just show you some other stuff. So going back here, so now this is if you want to keep this, you actually can. It makes it easier to find it if you didn't actually set the NAS as a whatchamacallit drive. I mean if you didn't give it a static IP address. So then you'll need for Plex example, you would need this, which is the latest version of Plex Media Server that I have so actually far, because I downloaded this a few actually weeks ago. It's probably maybe higher now. I'm not for sure, so I'll actually check when I actually log into Plex. But you also will need this, which is if you're not on the latest version, which this will tell you if you're on the latest version. It says 4.4.10 3.1439. And this is, if you look at it, 4.4.3.1439. So I downloaded this thinking I needed to update the firmware, but I didn't. So that's not needed anymore. So you can delete that. If you, unless you're not on the latest firmware, I recommend downloading the latest firmware if you're not on the latest firmware. So by that time, it should be done. So it says creating default folders. So creating default. So this is basically LUNs. You actually can use this. This has fiber channel. Well, the interface has fiber channel. You can probably put in like you can probably put a 2.5 gigabit card on here, and then connect it through iSCSI to like your actual network. I mean to your computer to have to have it for data storage for VMware ESXi or VMware ESXi or VMware Workstation or another kind of virtual machine. I use mainly right now. On this computer I would use. I had to get VMware ESXi for a job I did because of they actually wanted to use ESXi, which is not free unless you get the free version. So if you get the free version, it uses it basically limits you on how many CPUs you can use and how many servers you actually can and how much RAM you can put in and some other technical stuff that won't make much sense. So now it's just telling you start installing Media Center. So it's creating default folders now. So which means I'm just gonna show you how to deactivate stuff I actually don't use. This is just for showing anyway. Okay, so let me just show you other stuff. So while this does its thing still, so here's File Station. File Station is this. So there's that. This is just there's no actual anything on here yet, but when you add in devices, when you add in shares, it'll be there. So if you go here, it's just it's gonna take a little bit of time. So going here, which is the shared folders, you have users and user groups. Users is admin. Then you can make other user accounts. So make sure it's not the same password as admin, and then you basically can close it by accident. So then you have user groups. So people in this group has access to stuff like that basically the admin would have access to. So for example, stuff like shares, you can give certain access to like certain people. So if you had a friend who comes to visit your house, or basically they have access to like your NAS over the internet, which means they can access your actual NAS directly from outside the network, and you just have to port your actual router, which is the simplest way, and also using using something like Cloudflare to basically make it so it doesn't actually making it so it doesn't um um get exposed to the outside network. So this is basically what happens is if you have basically the messages on and stuff like this is actually happening, then you'll see why I didn't use the actual the messages for actually long about the emails for long, because I was getting like around 30 emails a day for like the slightest change, and that was just on like the first day. So clear all. And so if you have a actual if you have any kind of UPS connected, it would show up here in the external devices. But going back to control panel, not control panel, actually, yeah, power control. Yeah, so you go here, you go to power. Is it power recovery, power schedule? I'm not for sure. Let's see. No. It's actually external device, I think it's external device. I'm not sure. Yeah, external devices. So here you can actually connect a printer, and then you can apply number of printers. For UPS, it basically tells you, so there's this, I have this set up to a higher number since this thing only sips on power. I have it set to the max, which is 99. I wouldn't do this with basically a UPS that basically the batteries can't last for a while. Because if it basically, because the 5 minutes is there, so it can safely shut down. And so if your UPS has good batteries, then you wouldn't have to like have it shut down in 5 minutes, because if it shuts down without power, with like just a power cut, you could lose data. And then you can also have it the system auto protect mode after the AC power fails. Auto protect, the NAS will stop it from running services, unmount all volumes to protect your data. When the power restores, the NAS will reboot and resume its previous state. That's what you can do. What I just set it to is that because my UPS is perfectly fine, you press apply. It just depends on what your UPS actually is. It will give me 4 hours, 41 minutes, and 7 seconds, which is pretty good for a UPS. And then the firmware updates right here. So if you need to update your firmware, you check update, and then it just tells you how long your system has been up, how long it's been running, how many days, hours, and minutes, the status, when it was updated. You can even join a beta program if you wanted to. Backup and restore is here. Is for backing up the actual thing. So if you basically want to back up the actual NAS, you can just unplug this from here. You can just back up this and plug all the drives into the same exact model, and then it will start working again after you press restore. Well, browse, then upload, and then restore. But what I would do is, because if you're using a RAID, most of the drive data is already intact on like the hard drive, so you just have to unplug them from actually the NAS and plug them into a new actually NAS. So there's a license center, resource monitor, system logs, hardware, security. So security stuff is basically allow and disallow list, access protection, certified private key, and then there's general settings, which is basically just where you can change the server name. You can press allow specific websites to enable QTS and iframe. code page, region, login screen. For the login screen, you can change how the login screen looks. Honestly, that's perfectly fine. I don't actually care. I had this customized actually before, but I'm kind of want something. I don't know. I'll change it. So I'll change it later. But just saying. So it's ready. It's ready. It's basically optimizing it at 96%. So it's at 96%, and it will give me, because if you saw before, it had 1.12 terabytes of 7.12 terabytes available. So 6 gigs of that went to provisioning. So you can basically change that if you go to here. If you go here and then press manage, you can basically disable alerts and stuff like that. But manage does a lot of other stuff. You can expand the pool. Can expand the pool if you wanted to, but that's just for that. So as you can see, the thick volume's ready. So there's that. Now if you go to File Station, you'll see Plex, which is the share. Which is the drive. So you can go to, so it has homes, web, public. So from actually there, you go to control panel, then you go to back, then you go to shares. Then what I like to do is click on, I think it's this one. No. What I like to do is click on this one, which is basically public, and hide network drive, because I don't use actually public. I just make my own shares. It says temporary not available. So I also disable, well, not disable, I hide web, because I don't want these showing up on my computer. And then I also hide homes, because those are ones I don't actually use. Because these are things that I use the web one because you have to, but I actually hide the network drive, so they are not showable. So here, I basically create share folder, and it asks me for a name. So I'm just gonna name it this. I'm just gonna name Plex 2 because of this is how I recognize my Plex folder. So it's a 7.3 available free, and then you can give it permissions. Actually, before I do that, I'm just gonna make another user account. So I'm gonna pause it. So I'll show you how to make a user account though. So you go to users, you go to create, you go to create a user, and then you basically can give it an actual password, and you can give it a username, and then actually I'll show you that after. So create a user group, and then you can basically edit this to view group details, everyone. So there's that group, edit group users. So there's that, and then you can edit share folder permissions. So everyone has public read only in everyone, but you would make for an administrator, you can basically press edit permissions, and then it will add that. And then for user groups, you can add a user here by basically making a user and then adding it there. And then for viewing group details, you can basically tell it's right there. So I'm just gonna create the user and then the group, and then I'll be right back. Hi guys, so again, there it goes again. So now you create a share folder. Click share folder. So it'll tell you what to name it. I'm gonna name it Plex because it's Plex folder, and this is just for showing how to set it up. So there's that. It will ask you to configure users and permissions. So press edit. Has read and write. Give each user read and write permission that you want to be able to write to the Plex folder, which is these users. And then, oopsies, I messed up. And yep, whatever. But you see, you access the Plex folder. So you go to, if you want to change this, you go to edit share folder permissions. It has read and write access. The administrator has read and write access, so you press cancel. Then you go to edit properties, which is what I wanted to do. So there's all this. I forgot what I was actually looking for. So okay, so yeah, you just create the folder, and then it says give access. Then you can have folder encryption, because I forgot to actually talk about that. If I press create, and then you press then you can actually deny access, I guess, if you want to. So read only, write only, read write. So that's someone who can connect to it from your actual network. So they have to have an everyone account. You can press hide network drive to basically hide the drive. You can do SMB encryption. You can restrict access or cycle bin to only administrators for now. And then you can sync on shared folder. So when basically something is basically deleted on a shared folder, it will basically sync to the NAS. You can, if you're running Mac OS, this has a time machine backup folder, so you can basically use this folder as a time machine spot. So you just press that, and you then go to the Apple, then you go on to your Mac, and then go to the time machine window. So select the folder that you created, so select the share that you created, and it will back up to like there, and you can provision it with a quota when making an account. So that's basically done for actually there. So I would make another user account, but I'm gonna make that later. So if you notice up here that there is a second device, which is my brother HL2140, which is my printer. You click on that. Basically is ready. You actually could go here, stop printing. You can have Bonjour service, which is basically the service name is Artemis PR2, which is the name of the printer, so printer 2. There's printer log that tells you, and then this will show up whenever it's on. So you don't have to leave your actual printer on 24/7, but you could, because you just have to replace the power supply eventually. But most printers can last years. So while it's powered on, because most people leave their printers powered on pretty much yearly, and they basically don't have any issues. But I usually just turn off the actual printer because of it basically makes a noise occasionally, and it's not because it's going bad, it's because it's just a really cheap printer. Then you have system status, system logs, so network file services, so there's that. So when I'm trying to hook up. So I was gonna do the printer thing later, but so this is what you do to install Plex, because this was the main reason of installing Plex. So you go basically install Plex. So you basically click on the App Center. Plex is an application you have to like get by yourself. So for like Plex itself, you just go to Plex.tv. So it shows this. Then you go to get Plex after you get an account. You don't have to have an actual lifetime pass or a Plex pass. You can just use a Plex free account. Then go here, and if you're installing this on like a Windows on Windows, you just download Windows, Mac OS, or whatever you're downloading on. You actually download for that and install it the way they want to. Showing you for Qnap, for Synology, for Qnap. So you click on Qnap, you will download the latest build, which is from September 28th, 2020. I think, let me look at this one. It was, let's see, 12012 120. Okay, this is an updated version, so I'm just gonna basically so I basically downloaded this a while ago, so there's that. So you press, so I'm just emptying the trash. So you go here, you find your actual NAS, and then for this NAS, you find your computer. If your computer is your NAS, then you use that computer. So you click on choose this package. And for this one, to be specific, as long as it's running QTS 4.3 and newer, you get this one. If it's using ARM, then you basically ARM 8 or 7, or so the TS3X1 or 281. So these series of NASs right here, then you would get those. But since I have this one, then this one, you press save and download. Save it somewhere where you can find it. I also recommend, if you're basically using Plex on a media, on a computer, you can download this app, or you can just use a web browser. But these are all the things that have a Plex app. So Alexa has one for basically just for streaming music, because you can't really play video on it. The Fire TV has one, Android has one, Android Auto, Android TV, Apple TV, Chromecast, Google Daydream, iOS, Lenovo VR headset, Mac, Nvidia Shield, Oculus Go, PlayStation, Roku, Samsung Gear VR, Smart TVs, Sonos, and Windows. So if you have a Roku, you download Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, Android. So these apps, unless it's for iOS and Android, which are not free, for their actual mobile phone versions aren't free unless you have a Plex Pass. But for Android, you can get them. You actually can get a preview service or pirate the actual app, but I wouldn't do actually that. So because I actually bought the actual Plex Pass, which is only like $4.99 a month. And if you actually like it, then go with actually a Plex Pass for life. So then you go back over here. So once you download all that, you actually can click here. So this allows you to install it manually because the version of Plex, because it's so let me show you. They have Plex on here, but if you type in Plex, it shows up Plex, which is 1.16. That's an old version of Plex. So you just go to here and basically press browse the desktop, which is right here. Press OK. It will open it. Then it will upload and install it. You press install. It says, are you sure you want to install the software? Press yes. And then it will do its thing. Sometimes occasionally the software gets actually stuck and you have to force a restart, and that's kind of just meaning you have to power off the actual NAS and stuff. But there's a way of stopping it in the menu. But as you see, it's at 100%. This app has been installed and ready. Then you go to close. So then you go to My Apps, which is where it would be installed. So it shows you Plex is ready to use. And it's on your desktop. It's all right here. And then you basically go to here, which is Plex. It will open up a Plex media folder. And then it first got it. And then it says please wait while Plex starts. So I'm just gonna leave this as is. Okay. And then you press after this. Actually no. Let me do that really quickly. So basically I'm just gonna tell you this. So depending on what kind of router you have to look up port forwarding for that router. So if you're on like Comcast, you have to use the Comcast. If you're on AT&T, you use that one. If you're on Google Fiber, you use whatever router that you have. Go to like that one. So I'm gonna pause that while I port forward my actual router. Okay, so now I'm back. So if you forward ported your router, which usually if it's a Netgear router, Asus router, pretty much any standard router, then you just go to your IP address, which is either 192.168.1.0 or 0.1 or 1.1 or whatever. It's usually one of those three extra numbers. So there you go to like your 444 extra porting, then you forward port 32400, which is the Plex address you would actually use. And then I didn't actually forward port mine because of I actually don't really plan on using this one so far. So this is set up. So then you press allow access, but I'm just doing this sub, so it should basically so even if it does, then you press add library. Okay, this is where you actually need to go back to here and basically go to your share. What is your share right here? Then you basically, once you go to the Plex folder, you actually when you go to the Plex folder, it has like snapshots and stuff. So your media should be in here, organized however you want it. Sorry about that. You should have in here, so however you actually organize it. I'm gonna be naming mine TV shows, anime, movies, etc. And so all that data gets drag and dropped into here. And then you actually can make another share if you want to add other stuff. So, but this share is going to mainly only have my actual movies, TV shows, and music. So, because I'm gonna load that into Plex. So once that happens, then you basically press add library. I'm just gonna make an anime folder. Let's see. So new folder. So you actually can do this on the computer. You basically type in the name of the folder, which will be, for my case, anime folder. Then here, music. Next thing would be movies. I said movies by accident, so movies. And then there's that. So that's how it should look. I'm just not gonna scan my actual music, and I'm not gonna basically scan these until I put the actual music on. I'm not gonna scan for actually music until I actually get the actual music on there because that takes a whole heck of a lot of time because I have a lot of music. But basically, then you go to add folder. For this, you basically click on TV shows. After you click on TV shows, you can name it whatever you want. So I'm naming mine anime. But the only reason you would want to forward port is if you want to connect the actual computer outside the actual, connect to outside the actual network. Which if you don't want to, then you actually just can play it inside the network. So you press anime, you type in the word anime, then you browse folders, then you go to it's right here. This is for Qnap purpose. It's called cache dev 1 data. Then you go to Plex. Then you go to the folder, which is anime. Since there's nothing in there right now, it won't scan for anything. But once there's stuff in it, it will scan. So you press add library. And so the thing is, Plex, you have to add, if some of the shows don't show up right, you have to spell them correctly, or like 22/7 is like the case for national anime that won't show up. Then you go movies. I just leave it as movies because they're movies. Then you go next. Then you go to browse. Then you go here, Plex, and then you go to movies, and then you do that. And you press add library. And if your folders actually have videos, then you would basically press next. It will tell you get the Plex app. I'm just gonna add data. I'll show you what data probably. I don't know, but you just add folders. You add files to like Plex, and then it's done. You press done. Then it'll show up like this. So this is just the stuff that shows up on Plex, which is basically like live TV shows. And then you basically, this is just from my old Plex server. Unpin. So, okay, so for more, this is my old server because of reasons. So now this is the new full server, which is Artemis. So your anime would appear here, and your actual movies would appear here if you scan them in. So then you go to tools, then go to remove server, just removing that because if it's not there anymore. And so you have remote access right here, and if it was forward ported correctly, you would basically press here, and then it says add manual thing, and then you're pretty much done. For stuff like general, you basically can go here and see what your name is. For library is right here. So when adding data, if like you're adding stuff, you can scan library automatically. When you update, it will update automatically when folders are detected. And you can do a partial scan when like folder changes are like detected. Include music in automatic updates, like stuff like that. And then here is what is important, because if you are using an Intel CPU, at least from 2017, I like the latest because that's the 2700K. I mean, the 1700, which was I think the latest one I think at the most. So if you're using a 1700, then they have something called transcoding. So it uses hardware acceleration when available. So if the CPU actually has basically a integrated graphics like the Intel CPUs, then you can use integrated graphics for hardware acceleration. That allows you to basically get a transcode the file to like different file formats. And then the last thing, which is basically if you actually have a hardware accelerated GPU like a 1050 Ti does. And if you unlock the BIOS, the actual drivers, you actually can get the actual computer to basically do basically like 12 trans codes at most. And if you have a 1650, pretty much the same. 1650 Super, which is an upgrade. It can do more because it has a better NVEC transcoder, which allows you to get transcoding better. So if you have a 2080 or a 2070 or 1080 or 10 or 1070, you actually can, or 1080 Ti, you actually can use your you can use your graphics card to do some transcoding. So there's that. You can disable video stream transcoding, which is basically stream transcode operation that set transcoder will still transcode audio as well as remix the video. So if you want to, you can do actually that, but you can use hardware use hardware acceleration when available, and use hardware accelerated video encoding. So it allows you to get transcode. So you can set this to unlimited if your actual hardware can support it, or do 1 to 2 transcodes at a time. But that's that. And if you're basically doing this on, like, I recommend putting an SSD into the system when actually do and basically put the temporary transcoding directory to like here. So basically, when basically it loads files, it will load files to like the folder you actually have here. And if it's on an SSD, it will load faster, because hard drives, it usually takes me to import around 31 movies plus 365 anime, and all of that is basically imported into Plex. It takes around maybe three hours at most. Not like, because you can import the shows, it will load up automatically and it'll show them. But once you actually, it will basically won't have most of the metadata data for like a while, because each show takes around 30 seconds to like add the actual data. You would be able to see it here in activity, and when you add a file. So that's pretty much it for that. And I'm gonna basically transfer data to here, and then I'm gonna show you how to is that it? Actually, I don't know if that's it. But if you're just using this mainly for actually Plex, or basically storing data, you don't have to install Plex. But if you're just basically trying to basically store actually backups, you basically make a different you make a different you make a different share for less stuff like one for actually backup, one for actual software and stuff like that. I use this NAS for I usually use the software, this NAS for like data backup, but basically I just recently upgraded. So and this has 8 gig of RAM. It has what was it? What was I gonna look for? Okay, so share. You can use it as like a domain controller if you wanted to. So yeah. And all of these shares are here that you can't see. So let me pause really quickly and log into my NAS on my computer. Oh yeah, to actually find that, you go to here, then you go to your network share, which will ask you for your password. I'm gonna type in my actual password. I usually just select select sufficient memory. I was reading that. I usually just like remember my credentials. Press OK, and it shows up here. So to print, you would need this something like. Actually, I don't know why that's still showing up. Let me see. I can check and see why it's still showing up. So homes. See. Add a property. So okay, I don't know why that's still showing up, but it happens occasionally. So you show up here, and once I click on Plex, it will basically show my anime, music, and movies folder that I created. So you can have all your data here, and you can transfer stuff. For example, watch. Let me find something small. So like this, it's software. Drag and drop it into there. You see, it it transfer instantly. Now you go to the actual. Now you go to here, go to File Station, and then you see it's right here. The file I just downloaded. So let me just show you again. So it should update in real time if I delete it. So if I delete this, so I'm just gonna show you also the after delete feature. So if I press delete, it will ask me to like delete it on my computer. So I delete it, and then this, if I refresh it, it's gone. But if you look here, you go to recycle bin, it's in a recycling bin. And if you go here, it's also in a recycling bin. So yeah, so that's, and it stays there for 30 days unless you go like this and press delete. Then it will be gone forever. So, and then if you go over here, it still shows this. It will tell you every time something's plugged up when something starts. So yeah, and then that's why I say don't use no notification center, because it will basically blow up your emails with like a lot of emails. So, and then once you're done with like a printer, you just press the power off button, and then this will disappear, and it'll come back on, and it'll still work like how it worked before. So that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, and here you can press empty all, and it basically will empty the recycling bin. But if you click on this guy, the little robot guy, it's QBoost. You can basically optimize memory. You can basically clear junk files, and it'll tell you what is running in the background. So if you press optimize, the rocket ship will actually go up, and he will take off, and then it will free up memory. And so I didn't need to do that, but I just did that to show you it. And then the clean junk files, it will clean junk files, so it will sweep, and you can see race car, it just gets rid of junk files. But since this is a brand new install, there is no files on here. So okay, and so then this is basically for SSD profiling. So if you press accept after reading the agreement, so you probably don't have to read that. I don't read it. So this is SSD. So for SSD profiling tool, you basically add an SSD here, and then you add that to your actual tiering pool. Like, so you add an SSD with basically a hard drive enclosure of like some actual sort, and then you go into here, then you go to storage and snapshots, and then you add your actual storage there. And then you can basically just once you add your actual storage, you basically can once you add your actual storage, you basically can use it as storage space, and you can use it for Plex transcoding or whatever you like to do with an SSD. So you can say, so you can use it as a fast offloading spot, or you can use it for like a Steam game library that would transfer really fast over the network, because you can play Steam games over the network as long as you have an SSD and as long as you have a 1 gigabit at least internet. Internet connection, and if you have a internet connection that is 10 gigabit, then it would work even faster. Like literally no lag time. Then there's fiber channel. They have virtualization on like this NAS. It does one VM perfectly fine. Two if they're small. It does two Windows VMs if they're small, but it does one full size VM of Windows really good, and also it does a lot of Linux VMs. It can run Docker, but and then it also has an HDMI port on the back, so you can plug it into a TV and use the remote it came with. But that's pretty much. And here's Fiber Channel, which is the last thing I'll show you. I'm not gonna activate it, but Fiber Channel is Fiber Channel / iSCSI, so you can use it as an actual remote disk for your VMs. That's about it. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this interesting, and if you want more Plex videos, I can make more. This is just something I thought you might like, so I did this video, and it's for setting up a Qnap NAS. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Bye.